All right, everyone. Thank you for taking the time to join us today. My name is Chi, and I'm your moderator today. This is essentially a panel to give you guys an introduction into what it means to be an African student at Darden. So we have three panelists here. I'm going to let you introduce yourselves. Just the standard, your name, where you're from, what you were doing before Darden, what you're doing after, and your village. But I'll let you start.
Hi, I'm Cecily Saki. I'm a first year. Before Darden, I was working at Google New York City within sales, focused on large travel advertisers. I'm from Liberia. What was the other?
What are you doing after?
I'm still trying to figure that out. So I'll get back to you on that one.
All right. Agatha.
Okay. Hi, I'm Agatha. I'm a second year. I'm originally from Ghana, but I've lived in New York for a number of years. I was working in nonprofit fundraising communications before Darden, and after Darden, I'm not sure what I'm going to be doing, but I'm deciding between Microsoft or Johnson & Johnson.
Cool. My turn?
Yep.
My name is Tumishi Oshinobi. I'm from Nigeria. Came here directly from Nigeria to get my MBA degree. Before I got here, I worked in a local commercial bank in the corporate banking group. And after Darden, I will be going to MasterCard for the Management Associate program.
All right. So first question, can you speak to why you were initially attracted to and why you ended up choosing Darden?
I'm going to start with that one.
I can go. I am someone who really cares about community and like makes decisions based on like how I feel when I go to a place. And when I interacted with folks from Darden, I felt very comfortable. And then when I came to visit for my interview, that was like reiterated like even more so. And so that was a big reason why I chose Darden. And then the other thing for me is that I'm like fairly shy. And so I thought that the Darden case study method would kind of bring me out of my shell. I'm still working on that, but it's been good to kind of to navigate that and be challenged in that way too.
I think for me, it's kind of the same thing, the community. So Darden had an event in Lagos. It was 2015 December. And it was just great to witness the community because I got to interact with a lot of Darden students. But most importantly for me, it was the fact that there were a lot of African alumni. There's a lot of them in Nigeria. I just felt that it would be a great place to continue to develop that relationship with these guys if I do eventually intend to go back home. So that was a big thing for me.
That's excellent. Cecily.
I went to a large research university for undergrads, so I was in huge lecture classes with professors who were really famous but didn't care about students or teaching. So when I was deciding to go back to school, I really wanted to go to a place with a strong reputation for education and teaching. And I've definitely found that to be true in the past 5 months I've been here. I've already felt kind of had really strong bonds with my professors. And for someone who doesn't come from a business background and an undergrad, that was really important to me. I think community also was the second reason. When I came here for my visit, everything just kind of clicked into place. Agatha was, by happenstance, was in my class, and just everyone I met that day made me feel really welcome, and I kind of felt like this was the right place for me.
Cecily and I went to high school together, so small world.
So what does being a part of the African community at Darden look like for you? Start with Shay.
Oof, that's a tough question. I mean, being in Virginia, since coming here, being in the African community, it's been very interesting because, I mean, there are not that many of us. We have about 10 to 15 in the entire class. But at the same time, I think even though that's sort of a disadvantage, it's an advantage in the sense that I get to connect with these guys more intimately than I would have done in other business schools. So yeah, just having that community and being able to build these relationships for the future.
Yeah, I guess I would reiterate that. And I think what was really important for me, I lived in New York. I know a lot of Africans in New York City. Coming to Charlottesville, I wanted that same kind of affinity that I got when I lived in New York. And even though the community isn't large, it's a really strong community. We hang out a lot. Dabo, which is the club that I'm president of, tries to do a lot to kind of ease some of the worries that first years go through, to have fun, to eat Ghanaian food, talk about the who wins the Ghana Nigeria jollof debate, just like things like that make you feel at home, I think is important. And so I think having that sense of African community, even within the Charlottesville community, where sometimes you don't see as many Africans, it's helpful.
So I think that's actually an excellent segue into the next question, which is, you mentioned Dabo in your answer. Maybe can you give us, an overview what does Dabo stand for maybe some students who may not be aware of what that acronym
Sure.
means and what the club does at Darden?
Sure. So DABO stands for the Darden African Business Organization. We are what is considered an affinity club at Darden. And so basically, like, we connect with other Africans, but we also try to promote African culture and business within the Darden community. We support first years through the recruiting process because we know it can be very anxiety inducing sometimes. So if they need help with interview prep, connecting with Darden alum, DABO alum who are in careers that they're interested in pursuing, we help facilitate that. And then we just also try to have fun. We've had a few events this year called DABO Afropop Nights that brings music to Darden. We had a global food festival where we were very well represented, so we can let the Darden community know that there's a diversity in our culture in terms of food, in terms of music, whatever. And so those are some of the things that we do. We hope to grow in the next year. Hopefully Cecily can kind of take the reins. We're hosting something called Africa Week next year during the spring to kind of showcase African culture and business as well. And so there are a few things that we do. But what's most important to me as president of DABO is just helping to build a community and make sure that we present ourselves as a resource for folks whenever things are not going that well, or when they are going that well, to have a good time with each other.
So this question's for Cecily. What do you look forward most to with your DABO involvement, whether it's your favorite event that you've been to, an event that you're looking forward to?
I think what I've gotten the most out of DABO is just kind of what was already said, the community. So as a first year, you're just constantly, meeting new people, and there's, so much confusion, so much anxiety, and it's just nice to have that base. And it's nice to have that connection with second years in particular who've already kind of been there and done that, and you can kind of tell them, what you're stressed out about, and they can put you at ease and, make you feel better. So I'm looking forward to kind of forging stronger bonds. I'm really looking forward to Africa Week and kind of promoting Africa on campus at Darden, and it's sharing that culture and experience with my classmates, and just kind of bringing that to the rest of the community.
All right. So Tunshe, you have a leadership position at Darden as well, and in DABO as well. Sorry.
Yeah.
So how do you feel that leadership position has helped you not only inside the classroom but outside as well?
I think I got to mention something earlier, and one of the reasons why I also came to Darden was because of the case study method, where I'm an introverted person by birth, but I wanted to come here to be able to express myself, to be able to get my ideas out there, and that has helped. The case study method has helped, but also being in a leadership position at DABO has helped as well, because we are, we have the responsibility of, talking to different people, trying to set up different things, talking with recruiters, talking with with alumni. So I think being at the leadership position at DABO has enabled me to come out of my comfort zone, to try to solve problems and, better myself when it comes to speaking more.
And DABO's a very entrepreneurial group, so you kind of learn entrepreneurial skills as part of the club too.
Okay. Is there anything that surprised you about Darden, or anything that you discovered while you've been here that you didn't know about before?
I think I'll start with that one. I mean, coming from Nigeria, I've never been to the States before. I had no expectations, but coming here, I think one of the things that surprised me about Darden, and I'll start with Charlottesville, is that, people are really nice here. People are very supporting. When people say it's a community, it really is a community. 350 people in the class. I can say I'm friends with at least 90% of them. know them on a first name basis. So I mean, you hear about the community, but when you get here, you tend to then you see it and you appreciate it a lot more. It's gotten me through class, through recruiting, and through other things going on here at Darden. So I think that was the biggest thing for me.
Cecily.
I think, I mean, obviously when you're doing your research at Darden, you hear about the case study method, but I don't think I actually knew what that entailed until I got here, and just how much the learning is driven by your classmates who've come from all sorts of industries, all sorts of incredible companies. And for example, we just had an accounting, we were talking about Microsoft acquiring Nokia, and then we had someone in the class who actually worked on that deal. So I just didn't realize how much of my learning would actually be, I didn't realize how much of it would come from the people all around me. And it just gives you a better appreciation of kind of what that network and the quality of students, what that means.
Okay. Agatha.
I think the biggest surprise for me, especially in the second year, is how much influence you can have in the Darden community. There have been so many things that I wanted to see improved upon in Dabo, or wanted to see in the classroom that wasn't there yet. And I just had conversations with teachers and administrators, and they've been super, super helpful in helping to facilitate that. For example, I spoke with the person who heads up the Center for Global Initiatives about having more Darden Worldwide courses in Africa, and we were able to get to this spring in Ghana and in Senegal. So like just things like that, having student influence over major decisions in the community, I think is a big deal, especially as someone who wants to change what a school looks like. Knowing that your voice matters is something that's been surprising in a good way for me.
I think one more thing I'll just add, coming in to get your MBA program, you have this idea, some MBA programs are more, I don't want to say easier, but more relaxed, than other ones. But when they talk about Darden, drinking from a fire hose, it is true. It's a grueling process. You'd be surprised how much you develop in such a short amount of time, especially with the support of the people around you. I think that was the biggest thing for me when going through, recruiting, social life classes, and you'd be surprised how daunting that could be. But you'd also be surprised how you're able to get out of that with the support around you. So it was one of the big things for me as well.
Okay. All right. So what other clubs would you say that you are a part of at Darden, and what's your involvement?
So I am a member of the Darden Outdoors Club. Why is that funny? I am, and I go hiking. I like being outside, so I go hiking whenever I can. I'm also on the leadership team of the Net Impact Club and head what we call the Board Fellows program, which is basically having a Darden student be a student member of a nonprofit board, just to get a sense of how nonprofit boards run. I'm a member of BBSA, which is the Black Students Organization on campus. I think those are the ones I'm most engaged in. There's nothing wrong with being part of the Outdoors Club.
I think it's interesting. I'm from Nigeria. We don't go hiking. We don't do anything outdoors. But coming here has been interesting because I've done a couple of hikes, grueling hikes. So it's interesting to get here and do things. I ski too, like to do things you would never have done before. But talking about clubs, I mean, I'm not as diverse as she is. I'm a member of the finance club, consulting club. What else is there? The Lion American Student Association, that make bomb barbecue. It's a ton of clubs out there. I'm not just a member of many.
I'm a member of the tech club. So in addition to Dabo, I'm a member of the tech club. We're actually organizing a trek to San Francisco and Seattle this after classes, so December, right before the holidays. So really excited to get a chance to network with some, really big and even small companies in Silicon Valley. I'm also a member of the Darden Women in Business group. That's just a really great group that kind of promotes, being your best self as a businesswoman in business. And so I've really enjoyed that. And I'm also a member of Net Impact. So doing the Board Fellows program that Agatha talked about. I'm really excited for that as well.
Yeah, I remember of Net Impact. Forgot that one. But yeah, Net Impact.
All right. What would you say is one thing that prospective students on the line have to do when they come visit Charlottesville?
Trinity?
So who wants to take the lead on that?
Wait, visit Charlottesville or visit
Yes,
Darden?
Charlottesville.
Oh, okay. I would say go to a winery. Yeah, there are some amazing wineries with gorgeous views around, so you can have a glass of wine while looking at the mountains of the Shenandoah Valley.
Okay. Shay?
I would say go hiking, which is I can't believe I just said that. I would say just it's a beautiful town. When the weather is right, just go hiking. It's a beautiful view. Really love it.
So I'm a first year student, so still getting to know Charlottesville. But one thing that I've done that I thought was really cool was I did a tour of UVA. It's a really beautiful university and it has such a rich history. It's really fascinating. So I would say if you're in town for an interview, it's maybe worth doing that in addition to visiting a vineyard if the weather's nice.
Okay. So talk a little bit about the recruiting process as someone, currently going through it, or as two senior second years who have, are kind of on the tail end, and how that was for you as an African at Darden.
Sure. We should start, me.
You can start. You can start, Shay.
Where do I start? The recruiting process, it's a process. First of all, it's a long process going from the second you get into Darden. You come in August. Recruiters start coming in by end of August / beginning of September, and it goes all the way to December. For me, it was very interesting because there were a lot of setbacks, but at the same time there were a lot of opportunities. So I'm going to give advice coming into Darden with regards to whatever you want to do is start early. Try to network as much as possible. Try to leverage second years, alumni who might have worked in those in the sectors that you're interested in, and trust the process. Be hopeful and work hard. It's you're not going to come in here and the job is going to be sitting right in front of you. It's a lot of hard work, but I guarantee if you put in the work, you will get what you're looking for, what you want.
Yeah, I would say really utilize your summer to really think about kind of what you want to focus on, because things really start, as mentioned, like really fast and furious once you get on campus. So I use the summer to decide, hey, these are the different paths. So, marketing, finance, consulting. Can I see myself there reaching out to alums? Once I got into Darden, I was shocked at how willing alums were willing to talk to me even before I stepped onto campus. So I came in with a very focused view, wanted to really focus on tech. That's a really big field, but at least since I was able to cross other things out, I think it really made life much easier for me. The tech recruiting is really, it's less defined than some of the other paths. So, and it starts a little bit later. So, part of it is, doing this track that I'm doing later, really leveraging my second year coach. So every Darden first year is assigned a coach, a second year coach who kind of has been through that same process, and really utilizing the CDC.
Agatha?
So I did not recruit on campus last year, but what I made sure to do, because I wasn't sure that the path that I was going to for the summer would be the path that I would want for the long term, was to go to company briefings while here just to get a sense of what other opportunities exist for me, to do research over the summer like both of these folks have said, to talk to people, network with alumni, second years, and then this year, second year of the process is a little bit shorter. And so again, really taking the time to figure out what you want to focus on really helps you throughout the process. And there's a lot of support, both student support, alumni support, and CDC, the Career Development Center support, to kind of help you navigate that process.
Can you talk a little bit about why you didn't recruit on campus?
Sure. So I was able to secure an offer through the consortium conference that happens before the school year starts, and I was very happy with it. And so I accepted the offer before I got on campus. And I know for certain international students that might not be an option for you, but there are a lot of things that are open for international students over the summer, and I would encourage folks to apply to. There are a lot of fellowships if you're recruiting for consulting or banking that happen over the summer. And even if things aren't available to you, or if you apply and you might not get into something, just starting that process gets you a little bit more comfortable with navigating it once you get on campus. And we are all here as resources. Even though Tumishe and I are graduating next year, we'd be happy to answer any questions you have if you come on campus and, you know, want to learn more about where we are or where other alumni are.
One more thing. If you're coming from Africa, I know when I was coming to Darden before, there were a lot of companies, consulting companies and banks that reached out to me back home, BCG, McKinsey, because they're looking to recruit for their offices on the continent. So if you're interested in working in Africa, there are a lot of opportunities even before you leave. So you should start networking with people there. And yeah, so.
All right.
Yeah.
What would you say is one piece of advice that you would give to those on the line, either for the application process or advice about first year? So we can start on this end.
I would say, I think I focused so much on the GMAT when I was applying, and I didn't really, I think, take enough time to really think about the essays. Just what I really loved about the whole process was it was very introspective, and it really gave you a chance. You know, you've been working for a few years. You don't really have time to think about, you know, where do I see myself in 10, 15 years? So really kind of, the earlier you can kind of really think through that. I started journaling through the process, and that really helped me kind of come up with my stories. And then that helps you later on when you're doing recruiting, because you're going to have to do that all over again. What was the second question?
It was an either or, so whether the application process or the first year.
And for the first year, I would say really lean on your classmates. So they give you so much work, and you can't do it all alone. You're assigned a learning team when you come into Darden, and I've really leaned on my learning team to kind of get through the 3 cases a day. And so I would say kind of don't be afraid to ask for help, and just get that out of the way as soon as possible, because everyone struggles with something. You can't do it alone. And so kind of be open to asking others for help.
With regards to the application process, I would say take your GMAT early. I know I did the opposite. I took it pretty late. So it was very hard trying to balance the GMAT with, writing the essays and stuff. But like Cecily said, the essays are very important. Start to think about, why you want to get an MBA, why you want to come to Darden. It doesn't have to be the greatest story ever told, but just think introspectively about, where you are and where you want to go, and tell a great story. Talking about first year, I would say pretty much the same thing. Lean on your classmates, but at the same time, when you do get here or wherever you end up, don't stress yourself. You're here to discover yourself. You're here to find out, be the best person you can be. So try to balance everything. That's pretty much the advice I'll give.
I don't really have more to add. I think the GMAT is important. I actually took the GRE because I felt more comfortable with that test. So don't feel nervous if that's the option for you. And yes, spend a lot of time on your essays and make sure to convey what's unique about you in the application, in the essays. And then when you come to interview, just be yourself. And I think even though I did not have a traditional background for an MBA, what helped me stand out was being genuine about where I want to go, and making the connections between what my career was and what I wanted to do afterwards, and having that make sense. And again, we are resources for you here. I'm more than happy to talk through the application process with anybody who wants to talk to me about it. But just don't feel nervous to reveal who you are through the application. The admissions people want to get to know you.
Exactly. When I did the interview, it was so obvious they were really, interested in me as a person, and not really, what I've accomplished. Or that is important, but at the same time, they just wanted to know who I was and, where I'm coming from and where I want to go. So think about it from that perspective.
All right, guys. Well, this concludes our webinar. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in and joining us, and we'd like to thank our panelists for taking the time out of their year.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. Hope to see you guys soon, man. Have a good one. Bye.